Now the chair recognizes himself for 5 minutes for questions. But this is going to be for everyone. Considering the current discussion about ISS transition, what is NASA doing to prevent another detrimental capability gap, as we have experienced in the past, most recently with the retirement of the Space Shuttle? And I'll start with you, Mr. Gerstenmaier.
You've seen our transition plan for ISS, and we treat that very seriously, and we're not just doing the plan, but we issued some study contracts to 12 companies, and those companies are going to give us business plans and market analysis for how they could potentially use the space station, or they could use low Earth orbit to provide some capability for us in the future. So we're going to see what industry is interested in, what they can provide, and therefore we'll build a smooth transition so we don't have an abrupt end of one program and then start another program. We need to make sure there's a continuity of human spaceflight where we continue this human presence in low Earth orbit, and NASA becomes one of many users in low Earth orbit.
Thank you very much. Mr. Geyer?
Yes, I think if we've described the incredible things the space station is providing today, and I think a great conversation about we really don't want the gap in low Earth orbit. So as Bill described, we're putting together a plan that looks logically at how we might build other capabilities so NASA is one of many users, and put together a well thought through plan. I think also the key is as we go into exploration further into the solar system, how do we take the lessons from ISS into those other endeavors like the Gateway and so forth, and keep those partnerships strong? All those are very important parts to consider.
All right, thank you. And Ms. Singer?
Yes, sir. I looked as far as the exploration program and how we're going, that is setting out a roadmap that will help us. I went through the shuttle, and I went through after flying out the shuttle in 2011, and saw the gap. I think one of the things that we do look forward is learning off of lessons learned, and also going forward, one of the things that we're doing is there's a lot on our plate. The future is very bright. We have to deliver on our missions today and make sure that we invest in our people, and making sure that we form partnerships that will make us a sustainable program. So I think all of that focus will keep us strong and going.
Excellent. Mr. Cabana?
I think Mr. Gerstenmaier laid out the plan well, and I think it's critical that we have a follow-on for the International Space Station, that we do have a plan for low Earth orbit. Even as we explore beyond our home planet, I believe that there is a place for operations in Earth orbit, and it's critical that we have a destination for our commercial partners, both crew and cargo, to have a viable commercial base there. So we're working hard to ensure that through our partnerships that we can commercialize the ISS and that we have a future beyond it in low Earth orbit.
Thank you very much. And then for Mr. Gerstenmaier, during the early development phases of a program management from headquarters is understandable. However, once acquisitions begin, do you believe that program management should be done from the centers where the workforce and expertise exists to perform these roles for NASA?
Yes, definitely, and we're in the process of laying that out and figuring out the right time to transition activities from kind of putting together the strategy at headquarters and then passing it down to the centers for actual implementation and doing the day-to-day management of the project.
Right.
But I think it's important in the beginning, headquarters kind of sets those bigger picture goals of where the partnerships ought to be, new ways of doing business, et cetera. Then we can hand that off, and the execution is much better done at the centers.
Absolutely, thank you. And then for Mr. Geyer, in your new role as JSC Center Director, how are you leveraging the decades of experience your team has serving as the lead center for human spaceflight program management, systems engineering, program integration, and operations?
So what we do, first of all, is we participate with the studies that are done on the future, and the exploration campaign is a good example of that. We provide inputs and expertise as the strategy is being put together, again, bringing what we've seen and what we've learned in the past. And then we support the conversations of, as we decide to roll those programs out, making sure that JSC is poised and has the folks ready to do those jobs.
Thank you. And what is JSC doing to encourage commercial partnerships with the center?
So Couple of things, of course, we have the big contracts that are obvious. The commercial cargo is a great example of a technique we've used to buy services, and we've seen what that's done to actually create the capability. We participate with Kennedy on the commercial crew program, which now has taken the next step in actually flying our crews, so it's a bigger, more challenging task. And then we also have, even within the center on tasks that are infrastructure things like training crews, we put into our contracts the capability for those contractors to actually bring in other customers to reduce our fixed cost and help us do our job for less money.
I know I'm out of time, but I just want to get something in. What is the current workforce level, both civil and servant and contractor, directly supporting ISS at your center?
We'll get back to you on that exact
Okay.
number.
And then what is, do you have a rough estimate on the numbers at the other centers supporting ISS? Or maybe I should ask the other two real quick. Ms. Singer and Mr. Cabana.
I don't have the exact number in front of me. I'll have to take that for record and
Okay.
get back to you.
Okay.
I'll take it for the record also, Mr. Chairman,
All right,
get you the
great.
exact number.
Okay, well, I'll yield back.